My mother told me in high school, you need to slow down.
You need to slow down.
And I went, okay.
Did you?
When am I going to slow down? No. What? I just can't. I mean, if I'm in town very long, I'm like looking at the planes flying over, and I've been very fortunate, Janice, that my life is wherever I am.
Yeah.
If I'm on a Delta flight, I'm all in.
Yeah.
If I'm in Montana, I'm all in. If I'm at home, I'm all in. My type of job has been, everywhere else. Mm-hmm. And I guess I just always feel like if I can do something to help other people, because that's really what you're doing when you get involved in a league like this or when you do a clinic, you're just trying to help people.
This is the Leave It Better podcast, powered by the Side Out Foundation. Here's your host, Hall of Fame coach, Janice Kruger.
Cecile, thank you so much for being here. I am so honored to have you on the show. You are such an icon in the world of volleyball. You're just in everything that has to do with this sport for women, for female coaches. And I tell you, I don't know if there is anybody. We did one little piece with Pat Sullivan, and we mentioned a league of their own. And I think that sometimes might describe you at what you've done with and are still doing in our sport. You were the head coach at Florida State University, 26 years?
Yes, right.
And 600 plus wins there, a bunch of conference championships. And I think one of those, we somewhere competed in that.
We competed a lot against each other. Yes, I think the ACC championship we won was at the University of Maryland. So
it sure was.
Yes.
I picture you all there playing in this gigantic arena, right? Did you ever play in anything as big as that anywhere?
No, not really. And, it was a great experience and always fun to compete against you. And, you contributed to a few of the losses I have accumulated too.
Right. Yeah. Okay. Yeah. I remember a lot of those in Tallahassee for myself, honestly.
Right.
What a place you created there for that university and their volleyball program, and so much success that you had. And now I believe we retired from that in 2000?
I retired from coaching in 2001 from coaching. Then I was in sport management. I taught in sport management until 2015 and was retired from that until this Pro Volleyball Federation came along. And although I still teach online classes once a semester.
Okay.
Yeah. But this federation came along and asked me if I would be interested in working with them. And I said, I don't know. Why? And so they told me their plan and what it was, and it sounded reasonable to me to get involved again. And I happened to be at my sister's, and she kind of read the job description and said, "You're doing this because you can do this." And I said, "Okay." So it's been fun, but that's kind of been my career. I got about 5 years off to just, and part of that was with USA Volleyball, serving as chair for 2 years, and some of that was during COVID. So, hey, it's
big job.
Yeah, it was.
Big job.
There's been a lot. There's been a lot that's gone on that I've either been fortunate to be involved in or not so fortunate to be involved in. But I've enjoyed it all, Janice, and I've just have a thing about not saying no just because I want to leave things better. It's not for the money. Yeah. It's never been for money, as we know as a volleyball coach. But it's just to leave it better.
You have done that in so many ways. And one of the ways, just briefly, let's talk about this, is that you've been so involved with education, with, I think, USA Volleyball and with the AVCA. How did that become such a passion for you as a person? You were a coach, so you're teaching there, right? Mm-hmm. And then you delved into writing books, many books that are very popular and helpful for young coaches. Where did that passion for education come into, Cecile Reynaud?
I played at Missouri State or Southwest Missouri State, back when I was there in the 70s, and I played for Dr. Mary Jo Wynn and then Linda Dollar for 3 years. And Linda got hurt during our junior year, I think I was taking her volleyball theory class, and she had a little sledding accident. So I had to teach volleyball theory as like a junior. And so I really learned a lot of details about it. And then I went away to a little town in Missouri, Steelville, Missouri, and I was a teacher. I'd gotten a degree in teaching, so I liked teaching physical education. I coached 4 sports: volleyball, softball, basketball, track, drove a school bus, taught health. I was just, having a good time. And I got a call to go to Florida State, but had just turned 22, and I was going to be the head coach and work on a master's degree. They said, you'll be the head coach, but you go to graduate school. And I went, okay, if I have to. And I just always did clinics, Janet. I worked camps, I worked clinics. I just enjoyed helping people figure things out. And to me, that is just so fun to watch the light bulb come on for somebody and see if they can just think about the game a little bit differently or just try and explain it. And then, with a sense of humor, which is not always good, sarcastically, but, people just seem to enjoy listening to me talk about volleyball and various things, and, getting people on the court and moving them around and making it fun, because that would be my theme, is to keep things fun, because if you don't, it's a grind for everybody. So I just enjoyed it. And, when I think Don Shondell called me about getting involved with this volleyball coaching Bible, which Human Kinetics has a series. And I said, okay. So he and I, went after these 20 different authors, and it was fun. So we did that. And then I said, the book I really want to write is about women coaches, because I've read every book by every male coach ever by any sport, football, baseball, basketball. I mean, all of it. And I thought, what do the best women think about these things? And so I was good friends with Pat Summitt. I had met her during the time I was in Colorado Springs, and they were with the Pan Am team. And so I asked her about writing a chapter, and she said, I don't type, I don't write. And I went, okay, so you'll do it? And she went, what? What do you want me to do? So I said, let's, do something maybe on staff. So, I actually wrote the chapter for her. I flew up there, wrote it for her. She goes, this sounds like me. And I said, well, it's supposed to sound like you. So once I had Pat as confirmed, then everybody else kind of fell in line. And so that was my passion, is to find out, what do other women think? So then I went back and did another volleyball coaching Bible, and then just recently did another book about women coaches. But it's just so fun. But, there's a lot of other things I've missed in life with friends and family that, why are you still sitting in your computer? And I go, well, this is fun. I want to finish this. So, it's been great to give back, but, it comes with sacrifices too.
When you MC, or really when you present anything, Cecile, I could just sit there all day, and I would like to have this on button that I could just keep turned on and let you go on and on. I don't even know if you'd ever run out. Like when I'm getting goosebumps right now. When I think about you in the conversations at banquets for the AVCA, and you were very involved with the beginning of that, and then also president and different things there. You were a highlight for me. Maybe one of the most important things I got to do when I attended there is to listen to Cecile. How'd you do that? How did you become so good at being such a great MC? I mean, I would love to know that. Put a book on that.
Okay, well,
I think you're just amazing.
Well, Sandy Vivas asked me when the Nationals were they were in, I think it was at Western Michigan, whatever year that was. And she asked me if I would MC this All-America banquet or the Coach of the Year banquet. And I said, okay. So I hand wrote everything out, Janice, if you can imagine. I think I still have the scripts, welcome to the ABCA convention, and every stat and everything. And there was no Bill Kaufman or somebody else that would help write scripts. So I did that. And I remember I walked I didn't go in early, but I walked into the convention center and the banquet hall, a little bit before it was going to start. And I just, took a deep breath and just off I went. But it's, all my friends in the room. I mean, the coaches, I think of them as really all my friends. They're not strangers. And just talking to them about various things. And then probably my either greatest gift or dangerous part is just playing off of what somebody else says. And so whatever they say, I can have a pretty good comeback. My parents were like that too, which, I took the brunt of a lot of that. And so, it was that's just the way our family was. So sometimes people didn't want to get an award because they were afraid I might say something about. So I have, it's really hard to stay on a fine line where you don't, tease somebody too much or harass them. But it did seem to make it fun for everybody. And, I feel like that's enjoyable. So you're going to see people get recognized, and it should be a fun time.
It should be a fun time. It was highlight of my ABCA convention. Every time UMC was there. So you mentioned your parents. I believe you're from Missouri, right?
Yes, right.
Semi-small place in Missouri. I didn't get to meet your father, but I did get to meet your mother. What a treasure she was, and so kind all the time. I don't know what she said when she walked away, if she had a little sarcasm or something. I'm sure somewhere in there, right?
No.
Oh. But she was, I've heard she was your biggest fan, but also your toughest critic.
Oh, of course she was.
Maybe like, what's up with serving, Cecile?
Oh. She, so after my father passed away in 1988, she moved to Tallahassee in 1990 because we had a good football team.
Okay.
And she loved Bobby Bowden, and she loved football. I mean, she wasn't making anything, it was either go be with my sister in St. Louis or come near me. So she came near me. So we went to, every football game. I took her to every bowl game, volleyball matches she would come up for. And she would just be a nervous wreck. And I would see her, she'd sit directly across from me, and I would see her take out her nail file. And I thought, oh boy, I'd call a timeout, and I go, okay, my mother is not happy with how things are going. We're going to have to pick up the pace. And I mean, she did not like to lose. She did not like to lose. She'd come in and she'd walk by the bench and she'd see the other team warming up. And they were tall and they're passing every ball to the net. She goes, they look big and they're hitting the ball well. And I said, someone's tossing it directly to their setter, mother. It's going to be okay. Okay. She's just like, try not to wear the other team colors. And so, she was just really always fun unless we lost. And then she was just like, how could this happen? And I went, they're people is the problem. We just can't control everything. So, the athletes just loved her and she was very supportive, but she really was kind to everyone. We walked through the Atlanta airport one time and, the usual, hey, and then, trying to sell you a credit card. She turns around and I went, Mother.
Oh, no.
She went, what? I said, come on, he's not your friend. But he said, hey. And I went, no, we're not stopping to talk to him. So, she loved people. She loved betting on football games. She loved, she was good with pro games and college football games. So I remember one time I took her to a football, I think we were at a bowl game. We're driving in the car and she said, do you think we're going to start with a pass or are they going to run the ball first? And I said,
is this a bet she was placing?
Oh, no, just not on betting, just thinking about the game.
Okay.
And I said,
okay,
you know what? I have no idea. I do this for a living. I am certainly not going to try and figure someone else out and what they're doing. But she could watch our quarterbacks and say, we need to switch quarterbacks. A week later, we'd switch quarterbacks. We'd take off. And she went, she was good. She was good. Yeah. But she was fun to be around. And then I was always the last person in the gym. I'd have to talk to everybody, before you leave the facility. And she said, do you have to talk to everybody? And I said, I do. So my friends would take her off, to get something to eat and a drink. And I'd meet him there later. And she was much happier instead of having to wait on me.
Yeah. I mean, I had a little similar experience. My father passed when I was a junior in college. And my senior year, my mother traveled with us, and it was sort of the team mom. And so when I met your mother, that was something that I just loved her and the person that she was.
Thank you. She even rode with me on the bus in high school when I think back. Now, no mother did that, but she just wanted to watch us play. And, and she was a good
Was she an athlete?
Yeah, but they just didn't have any opportunities. I mean, she'd take us out in the street and she'd punt a football to us, or she'd make us play badminton, or she'd make us play she always wanted us to play something with her. And, and she was pretty good, but, she just didn't have an opportunity to play anything.
You played for another person that I have high regard for, and I'm sorry, I didn't know your original coach, but Linda Dollar was always somebody. And, from being from the Midwest, she was like top of the line list of super successful female coaches. And, my coach was Pat Sullivan. And those two I just thought were such amazing role models and so good at coaching and really working with the person, skills for sure, strategy and all those things. But what was that impact like for you with Linda Dollar?
I mean, right. How blessed was I? So she was the assistant coach for my first year there in 1971. And then she was the head coach after that. And how she ever stayed in coaching as long as she did after having me as an athlete. I was a good player, but I was that one that was just on the verge of keeping your coach awake at night. I was just like, I just would kind of push the envelope. So we'd do things to Linda, just tease her because she had such she'd get so embarrassed. We found a pot of plants that some potted plant had fallen in the street near her office. So, I took it into her office and she said, "That's great, Cecile. I saw that in the street coming in today." And I went, "Oh, I'm sorry." We just do things to her and for her, but she was such a good sport. And I think anybody that's in coaching or any kind of business, it is all about relationships and it is people. And, we don't coach volleyball, we coach people. So Linda, I was just blessed to be around her, and she's still the exact same person, same temperament. She never yelled. She never did anything. She never threw anything. She just gave you a look and you did not want to disappoint her.
Mm-hmm. Yeah.
And that just, you wanted her to be happy.
Yeah. Yeah. I get that too. She was classy. Maybe that's what it was. She was so classy.
Yeah. And she's still just extremely classy.
Yeah.
Never said anything about anybody. Never ran down another program or another person. Just always positive.
So Southwest Missouri State, that was the name of it when you were playing, was also, when I was an athlete at Nebraska, was one of those schools you guys were so good. And you were sort of the measuring stick for us if we got a chance to play you. And I think we may have only beat you once when I was there. And
I think in the Midwest, we were like one of the best teams. And we were so good. This was really funny. But Linda would change the lineup every time. Every match, it'd be a different lineup. And somebody on our team was really good in math. And we said, how many different lineups could we possibly have? And I can't remember what it was, 12 people times 6 different rotations. And it was like something like 27,000. We were like, okay, here we go. But it was incredible that she just challenged us always and, put us in situations that we just had to get better. But it was fun.
Mm-hmm.
I was, again, really blessed. We took us to USA volleyball tournaments during the spring where we got to see the best people play. In 1972, she and I and 2 other people on the team drove out to Utah, to Salt Lake City, to the USA Volleyball National Championships. I still have the T-shirt, Janice, from 1972, older than most people listening here. And it was, I got to see Mary Jo Pepler and Jane Ward and Smitty, Duke, all the big names.
Yeah.
And what an impact that had on me.
Mm-hmm. Yeah. Yeah. Wow. That just makes me smile inside for sure.
Mm-hmm. It was fun.
Yeah. So currently, you are now the vice president of operations for the Pro Volleyball Federation. What's that all entailing for you? You mentioned earlier a little bit of travel going on and some West Coast game times that can be a bit challenging for those of us on the East Coast.
Right. So what happened is, this is as director of volleyball operations. So the people that were forming the league said, we know a lot of things about professional sport, but we don't really know anything about volleyball. And I said, I know nothing about professional sports, never watched it, never had a team, don't know anything about it. I mean, to me, it was just a chance to really intellectually challenge myself. We had no rules. We had nothing, no manuals, nothing. So, what were our rules going to be? And so, we decided we wanted it to be as much like the national teams as possible. So FIVB rules, but we did make a couple of modifications. And before I got involved, I called, all of your colleagues, Sandy Vivas, Doug Beal, Russ Rose, Terry Liskevich, what do you think? And Jill, and I think it was Beth at Utah. It was just important for me to understand whether or not I should get involved.
Yeah.
And I thought, I don't need this job, and I'm not going to apply for another job ever. So the only thing I could really lose is my reputation. If it doesn't work, I'll just be home watching Netflix and riding my bike. And so, I decided just to go for it. So we got these rules together. We decided instead of 6 substitutions to use 8, just to have a little more time for people in and out. How many people were going to be on a roster? We went with 14. 2 could be international players. So anyway, trying to put that whole game strategy together. So international players, we've got to go through and file FIVB transfers with Carla Hall at USA Volleyball. So there's a whole there's a manual to do all of that from Carla, but it was a lot of, we need somebody from Bulgaria approved by tomorrow. Well, that's not going to happen because there's a transfer fee.
Okay.
You get permission from their country and they charge a certain fee and then you pay them and then you pay the FIVB 2,000 Swiss francs and then all the paperwork's filed and then they become eligible for your team. Puerto Rico's different. That's they're U.S. citizens, so we can have more. They don't count as a foreign player, but we still have to pay a transfer fee to Puerto Rico and then to Norseca.
Wow.
So I had to learn, all of that, just how each venue is going to be set up. We tried to copy a little bit about the Olympic Games in VNL of what that court setup was going to look like, how many people can sit on the bench, all of that. And then I'm sure you've watched some of it, but the technology that we got involved with is a game changer, and it's good when it's working. Oh, and but every once in a while, you'll have an internet blip or something will happen. But we decided to we ask our owners, and these owners, we have 7 owners. Went to an owners meeting. We talked to them about a variety of things, and of course, they have to approve everything, which is great. We had to hire coaches. Not we, the league doesn't, but we tried to help pass names on of people that might be interested to the owners, and the owners, work with those coaches and make their own deals. But that was fun, kind of working with some of them. But the technology that came along after the owners started watching NCAA volleyball more, and the challenges were taking so long. Yeah. Then we had this other system, this Bolt 6, it's called, which shows where the ball lands. And shows the little finger touch, and it's 22 high definition cameras around the arena, so it's a game changer. And then no line judges, and that was a little scary. And our founders went, I think we need line judges. It's kind of fun to have people yell at them. And I went, no, that's not fun. Nobody wants to do that. And the officials, are high quality, internationally rated or high nationally rated. We've got the best of the best. Suzanne Lowry and Michelle Prater will be doing the finals. Okay. Suzanne Lowry, officiated that match in the Nebraska outdoor football stadium. Yeah. And Michelle's did the finals this last year at the NCAA tournament. Devaney McClarty is our director of officials. She's a great official, but she'll be an alternate there. Just, she'll be on site. And if she needs to get up on the stand, but she'll be directing everything else. So all that technology, and then Volley Station, we had to decide on some kind of a stat system we wanted to use. And so that's been a learning curve too. So a lot. There's just been a lot.
Wow. Square
it's
one.
Everything you can think of.
Yeah. Square one.
Yeah. Square one, which is fun. Yeah. And my sister said, how do you know what are they telling you what to do? And I went, no, I know what to do. I mean, I know there's certain things that need to be done. And fortunately, I've had a lot of experience just to try and help get it on paper. Now there's a variety of other staff, there's people in sponsorship and marketing and production that help, with some of the on-site production management of everything. And we haven't had to travel to all the matches. I mean, we just can't. But, we certainly try and we're all online trying to watch, make sure we know what's going on.
Mm-hmm. Yeah. I love the Bolt 6. I absolutely love that ball touching the line or not touching the line or the finger.
Yes.
It's so great for TV and probably for the athletes as they're playing the game, that the delay in this stuff is too long.
And the coaching, the coaching, that was a learning curve because now they have a tablet on their bench. And so if they want to challenge something, they have to press, net touch, line, vault, whatever it is, they have to press that. And they can challenge in the middle of a rally. So that's different.
Oh.
And because at the end of the rally, they're not going to go back and say, I want to challenge something that happened at the beginning. It has to be immediately.
Okay.
They have to push a button for substitutions. They have to push a button for timeouts. And so there were just various things that they had to learn how to do. And they were all kind of like, I don't want to hold that tablet. Somebody else is going to hold it. So during one of the first matches, we went to the first week of all three matches. It was it was Omaha one day, Grand Rapids one day, Orlando the next day. That was a long week because it was 6 a.m. flights off to the next one. And one of the coaches stood up and said, I want to challenge the line call. And Devaney said, you can't. And they went, what do you mean you can't? She goes, look at the screen. Oh. So, there was the picture.
Yeah.
There's no challenging that.
Yeah. Yeah.
So, everything all of that shows up in arena. And so that's kind of fun. So it's been a matter of coaches trying to figure out, the rhythm of what to do and when to do it.
Yeah.
And how to do it.
Yeah. Literally, when this started to happen and I was trying to understand professional sports, I don't really know anything about that.
Right.
In terms of the recruiting and the drafting. And I was thinking so many women don't have that experience and haven't been real deep in it. And it was so many questions that I had. And I love that are now available for me to find out, what's going on.
Well, Janice, we don't have any coaches that have professional coaching experience except Angel Perez, who coached in Puerto Rico, and he's at Columbus.
He's with Columbus.
No one else has professional. So our audience or our population is limited. And, we've got to do more education on what's it like coaching professional athletes. So I called Lynn Dunn, from the WNBA. I'd known her for years. She's with the Indiana Fever. I'd known her for years when she was at the University of Miami. Okay. And, she was one of those that used to coach volleyball. She was, Pat Summitt's friend. Anyway, so I said, what's the difference in coaching a professional athlete and a college athlete? Because I want to be able to tell the coaches what this is going to be like. She said they show up and they take care of business. Don't have to do a lot of kumbaya and sign up for classes and get to bed early and make sure you eat right. I mean, and you don't have to practice 4 hours because they're older. Mm-hmm. Their bodies can't take the wear and tear. So it's just different. Mm-hmm. And, some coaches have had to back down just a little bit, like, you're giving me a curfew. I'm like 30, so it's just, you're just so used to being in charge of everything as a college coach. It's just different. Mm-hmm. So we're trying to, everybody's trying to work themselves through that. And I think, everybody's getting much, much better. And of course, the athletes have played for great coaches around the country and have played for other people around the country and around the world that, really don't know as much volleyball as these people do. Yeah. So again, it's the relationships, making sure you're working with the players and what's good for them, and everybody's different. So it's a lot different. But when I did talk to coaches who were interested in this position, I said, think about this. You're working for one boss, and that one boss is thinking about you. That's not, if football does well, we can give you this. If point. Basketball, once we get through, the baseball season, we'll be able, it's you. And they'll give you what you want if they want to be successful. And Kathy George at Grand Rapids said that her first day they met about a practice facility. And the next day they came in with renderings. And she went, how's that even possible? We'd still be working on this at a university. So, I mean, it's just different. Mm-hmm. It's just different. Mm-hmm. I mean, they can snap their fingers and, and they have the money and they can make it happen.
Money is such a good thing.
Yeah, if you have it.
if you have it right.
Yes, and if you've got an unlimited resource, that's good.
Yeah, right. I talked to Kathy George a little bit, and that was a really fun thing. And I believe she was also a retirement kind of scenario situation coming back into the league.
Yes, of course she was. Yes.
And, it's like Leave It Better. The two of you are just constantly stepping up. And I think I had a conversation with Kathy DeBoer. I said, so let's talk about Cecile just a little bit. She goes, she's always great at asking the hard questions. Like she has the hard questions and she never really backs down, is sort of fearless, really, in jumping into an endeavor. When you were a little kid, was this something that you were like that, real inquisitive? You mentioned before being a little bit of a challenge in college. And I love those players, by the way, because they are in it somewhere. They're willing.
Yeah.
So.
Yeah. Janice, I found my report card, my first grade report card not too long ago.
Okay.
Messy desk, unorganized, talks constantly, won't settle down, on and on and on. Just, I got average everything. And my poor mother had to sign this after the first quarter. Gosh, I hope Cecile can do better. And, and then of course I read it, and each quarter I got a little better. And, I think my first grade teacher just kind of said, hey, she's a mess. And so I was speaking to somewhere not too long ago, and I said, so, take it easy on those little girls that might be a little wild at the time. They might tone it down. But my mother told me in high school, you need to slow down.
You need to slow down.
And I went, okay.
Did you?
When am I going to slow down? No. What would I just can't. I mean, if I'm in town very long, I'm like looking at the planes flying over, and I've been very fortunate, Janice, that my life is wherever I am.
Yeah.
If I'm on a Delta flight, I'm all in.
Yeah.
If I'm in Montana, I'm all in. If I'm at home, I'm all in. I just have never always wanted to be somewhere else. It's been really, whenever I travel, there's Cecile. And so I just, I enjoy my own company, and off we go.
Yeah.
So I've been lucky about that. Now, sometimes it gets a little tiring, and I have 2.6 million miles on Delta. That's just one airline, which means, I got a nice briefcase from them, but that was about. But my type of job has been, everywhere else.
Mm-hmm.
And, you have those weekend husbands that, you see them every weekend, and we're doing something somewhere else. Anyway, it's been fun.
Yeah.
I wouldn't trade it for anything, but and I guess I just always feel like if I can do something to help other people, because that's really what you're doing when you get involved in a league like this, or when you do a clinic, you're just trying to help people.
I also read, of the 7 in this first year for PVF, 5 of those head coaches are women, which in, I think, any professional league is outstanding that they outnumber the men.
Exactly. And I think we're going to have an all-female volleyball officiating crew.
Okay.
In Omaha next week.
Yeah.
Mm-hmm.
That's really wonderful. And I'm sorry, I don't remember her name, but there was one of the Atlanta players.
Leah Edmond.
Yeah.
Yeah.
Wow.
Did you see her video?
Yeah.
Her video on representation,
yes.
and how she had always been the only Black girl on a lot of teams. Yeah. And it's true, Janice. I mean, you know that. Yeah. And it's been hard. And we've seen that as women too. A lot of times we're the only women in the room. And it just, I don't know, it never bothered me, but it's nice to look around and see so many women in leadership roles. Yeah. It really is.
And I've heard a lot of the players, they're grateful, one, that they have this opportunity to play professional volleyball here in the States, so they don't have to go overseas, and they don't have to be from all of their life, really, that's happening. And when I watched that video with her, and literally she had me crying probably fairly quickly in her comments. And it seems as though, I don't know what the young kids are saying, or the parents of the young players, but they have to be able to see this stuff for them. And, some of the female athletes that are even in this group that are playing had role models that they were looking to.
Right. Right.
And to now see them have this big opportunity to be here and other leagues coming as well. It's wonderful to see the woman athlete. And you mentioned before about Nebraska in the 2003 in attendance at that game. What a crazy, joyful day that was. I got to be back there, and the alumni, just everybody was happy and just having the best time celebrating the female athlete. And, I guess we're in a little bit of a movement or a moment for women's athletes right now.
Yes, it does seem like that. I mean, I think the television coverage of the NCAA sports, it was just incredible. Most stands are full. And Janice, when I do go to some of these various arenas, Orlando and Atlanta, I've been to quite a bit. And I did get to go out west to some of those. And then I just got back from Omaha. I took my sister a couple of weeks ago. I went, okay, you got me into this rodeo. And she's not a volleyball person. She walked in and she just got teary-eyed looking. And then the place filled up. And she said, it's just incredible. With the kids cheering and screaming and dancing in the stands. And then you watch them just file out there for autographs. Orlando, that team just gets swarmed. Mm-hmm. And they stand there and sign autographs for like an hour afterwards. And, it doesn't matter whether they've won or lost. They're so good. And it's such a powerful match that they just line up to look up to these 6'4", women and the little liberos and little 3-year-old girls just, and I look at those people, and that's why I do this.
Yeah.
Not just for these athletes, but the entertainment.
Yeah.
The service we're providing to everybody else, the jobs that each franchise is providing, marketing people, game management people. It's just, it's been a real honor.
Yeah. I haven't yet gotten out to one of those. I've toyed with the idea to get back home, but I got to do that real quick, right? If I'm going to make that championship game. I was looking at the tickets, like there was one seat somewhere up here that I could still grab.
I think yeah, right.
When you first got to Florida State, you and Bobby Bowden were there. Did you both start at the same time?
We did. We started the same year in 1976.
Wow. I think I might have seen a picture somewhere. How cool was that? And did you football coaches and volleyball coaches, sometimes there's a pretty big distance and you don't get to see them much. But it seems as though you guys had a really neat and interesting relationship that was good for women's sport or maybe volleyball.
And he was like that with everyone. And when you'd go into the head coaches meetings, he would sit there and everybody talk about various things. And he'd say to all of us, I just hope we can win some games so y'all can have more money. Can you imagine a football coach saying that today?
You love that.
Ever.
Love that. Yeah.
And he was serious. Yeah. He wanted to do well so the rest of us could, continue to have programs and do well. And he was just like that on and off the field, always the same, always, well-spoken, always friendly, always jolly, great sense of humor, just, great speaker. And, he was fun. I saw him, I went to his 90th birthday party, and of course he passed away a few years ago, and he's lived in the same house all those years. So I went into a restaurant one time to meet 3 of my players for dinner a couple of years ago. And I walked in, and there's Coach Bowden and his wife and one of his daughters. And he said, "Hey, gal," which is who he called everybody. He was either hey buddy, or hey, gal. And, I went over and spoke, and he said, you want to join us? Are you by yourself? You want to join us for dinner? And I went, I said, no, I'm meeting some players who are still speaking to me over here. So these 3 athletes were over in a booth, and I walked over and sat down with them, and they went, "We're sorry." And I go, if I weren't meeting you, I'd be having dinner with Bobby Bowden right now. But no, here I am. I'm going to keep my commitment to you. But he was just that friendly. He was just that kind of a guy. Yeah. And did so much for our university. Yeah. And just figured out how to beat the big teams. And, off we went.
Your stadium there, the red brick, Is that still your stadium? It was so iconic, right?
It is. Yeah. Yeah. I think it was the largest brick building in the country for a long time. Yeah. They just decided they needed to expand. So they put a lot of academic offices around it. And, of course, that helped with state money to fund it, because then we had, College of Communication and Fine Arts and different things in there.
Yeah. I think I remember finished playing you guys, and there was a little bit of time before we had to go, and the football game was still on, and the door opened and everybody started to run for the stadium, and we had a section or a seat that was blocked off they were playing Maryland. And I have a photo of our team, like a bit, what do you call it? Panoramic photo of that time. And the crowd is so crazy. And it's the red brick. And even to this day, it's just one of those really special moments that we were able to have, because they wanted to get into that stadium and be a part of what was there at Florida State. It was such a big deal.
Good. Yeah. Well, that's nice. Yeah, that's nice. Yeah. And it was special. And I think we've got another coach now that seems to be pretty special, Mike Norvell.
Yeah.
I haven't met him, but he seems to be a team player with everybody.
Yeah. Yeah. Now you're involved with We Coach.
Yes. Well, one of our former basketball players, Celia Slater, played basketball at Florida State when I was coaching. And she and several other people, Judy Sweet, got together, and they decided that there needed to be some kind of education for women coaches. So they went to the NCAA, and got a grant, some funding to put on these different, they call them NCAA Women Coaches Academies. Mm-hmm. So they were like 4-day or 5-day sessions. They bring in all kinds of coaches or various professionals to speak with these women. They'd stay and have, just a great 4 days of all sports. Mm. So it was field hockey, tennis, lacrosse, it was Stanford, it was Valparaiso, it was Stetson. I mean, it was everybody, from soup to nuts. Mm-hmm. Everybody was there. And I think the classes were about 40 people. And so they'd have 2 or 3 of those sessions a summer. And it was so exciting. And there's nothing like walking into a room full of female coaches and you just go like, oh, my people, it's my people. Right. And it's just, it doesn't matter what the sport is. It's all the same issues.
Mm-hmm. Sure.
And so there was so much bonding and camaraderie that it stayed successful for a long time.
Yeah.
They renamed it. And so I was on one of the founding members of what they call the Alliance of Women Coaches. Okay. So after those academies went on for a while, they said, we really need an organization. So they developed the Alliance of Women Coaches. And I was one of maybe 7 founding board members. And then I served as president of that for a number of years. And then they changed the name to We Coach. They felt, branding, I was kind of out of it by that time, but it was a branding thing. And so they've changed it to that. But it's now, I think they've got like 13 or 14,000 members, Janice.
Oh, that's
it's
great.
Taken off. Somebody from that was at Florida State University is running it now, Vanessa Fuchs. And they have just all kinds of podcasts, regional events, everything. And big presence in all these women's coaches' lives. In fact, I just talked to them yesterday. I'll be going to speak to one of them this summer in Denver.
Oh, cool.
So they have level 1 and level 2, because the ones that went to the first one said, I need more. And we said, okay, well, we've got to come up with more programming and more people. And, do we need just like the women leaders, do we need to hire like an executive level? Where people that have been in it for years need some kind of motivation. But it's so, Don Staley was there, I think, last summer speaking, and, they just bring in some great people that, share a message, and they're all successful.
Yeah.
So I'm really, really proud to have been a part of that. And I'm so excited to see it keep going. And, we donate scholarships. I donate scholarships for people that can, while their university may pay for it, but, some of them can't afford it, and can't pay for it. So, we came up with the term, I think it was, we did 1972 for Title IX, that you could, if you donated $1,972, that would help pay for somebody to go to.
Oh, very cool.
So I've donated one in Linda Dollar's name, and then, another one in Billy Jones' name. I just feel like that's important.
Yeah. Yeah. You're outstanding.
Trying to give it back, Janet, trying to give it back.
You are. Yeah. So you mentioned before we were talking about the USA Volleyball, your role as the board chair, and how challenging that was. And I just recently read something about Jamie Davis, I think, is retiring after this next set of Olympics. So are they going to call you, Cecile?
Oh, I don't think so. I don't think so.
I don't know. Be careful.
If changes are made, it's usually after the quadrennium.
Yeah.
And so, if national teams change or CEOs, but, that is a big organization. It's like a big ship that is just tough to turn quickly. Yeah. Because you have Congress, oversees the Amateur Sports Act. You've got all the 40 regions and their ideas. Mm-hmm. You've got the USOPC. You've got parents. You've got officials. You've got, youth sports, safe sport. You've got qualifiers. I mean, it's just, there's a lot to it. Mm-hmm. And, education and then you're, the nationally governing body for your international sports, sitting, beach, and indoor. So there's a lot, but it's really one of the best. And I think during the 2020 games, I was just going off of my position. And nobody could go to the Olympics. So I just sat at home and watched it. Jamie called me one time from Japan and I thought, why is he calling me? I mean, and he's FaceTiming me from the beach, and I just want you to be here. Like there's no one else here in the stands. And it was just amazing. So, they won a gold medal. So I bought the T-shirt, and then sitting won the gold medal, and I bought the T-shirt, and then indoor went. And I went, is somebody going to can I stop? Are they just going to put them all on one T-shirt?
That was your idea? Was that your idea?
Yeah. And I said, okay, please. Because it was just, it was incredible just to see the success that they've had. And of course, the men have been incredible too. Mm-hmm. And women's sitting has already qualified for the Paralympic Games again. So it's been fun. Unfortunately, the men didn't make it, but they're highly successful, but it's a big organization. And we were during the can we play or not with COVID, and gosh,
crazy time.
We started out with putting a book together, and then it just came down to whatever your community says, because nothing was going on in Florida, and anybody could play here, but in the Northeast you couldn't go anywhere. Right. So it was a handful.
So are you going to the Olympics this summer?
No, I don't think I'm going to turn on volleyball at all after next week. I'm going to take a little break. No, I'm not.
Okay.
I've been to the games. I got to work the games in Atlanta.
Yes.
I've been to the games, and I've been to the Paralympic Games as a team leader for that women's sitting team. So it's, I'm fine. If I'm going to go to Europe, I'm going to go do something besides go to a gymnasium. Okay. And I like to watch them on TV and, be in touch with everything that's going on.
Yeah. So, Cecile, looking back on your life and, leaving it better, if you had to pick a situation, a scenario, a happening where that was like, I think I really did make it happen and left something better. And that's, I don't know if there can be a top pick for something like that. What would it be?
Well, I think right now, just looking around at these stadiums when the athletes are playing, and to think I had a part of that, of something that's never been done and, maintained, we hope it can go on for years. I think that's what it is right now, Janice. But I mean, there have been so many big things, and being part of the Olympic Games, and I was in charge of the medal ceremonies when it was in Atlanta. And it was just, I've just been really blessed to have a lot of great experiences because I would always say yes. And it was never, no, I don't want to do that. I just always did and worked through it. And so I've been really fortunate. But this experience right now, to look around and just see families that are having a good time, and the women that are being able to play, and the coaches that are being able to coach. And it's been really fun. Yeah.
Well, you are such an inspiration. You have done so much for volleyball, so much.
Thank you. I've enjoyed every minute.
Thank you for listening. Please share your feedback with us at side-out.org.